Let's start with a feeling. I think a lot of us know this one. You're done scrolling, maybe. The rush fades, you close the tab, and there's just this quiet, like an echo in an empty room. It's not always guilt, is it? Sometimes it's just numb.
Yeah, that numbness, that slightly hollow feeling when you click away.
You chased something quick, some kind of escape, maybe. But when you land back in reality, the feeling you actually needed, it never showed up.
And that sensation, that hollow return, it's really, really telling. It speaks volumes about how maybe we never quite learned about intimacy, about desire in a healthy way.
Right, like who actually teaches this stuff?
Exactly. For so many, there was no guide, no healthy instruction on exploring your own sexuality. So the screen, it kind of steps in, becomes this sort of secret teacher.
A teacher offering instant lessons, maybe, but they're often synthetic, distant.
Totally. It's often edited, engineered for maximum impact, not reality. It's an exaggeration.
So our goal here today isn't judgment at all. It's about something, I think, deeper, like reclaiming something. How do we stop chasing that dopamine hit and actually learn to feel present, connected to what's, real?
And the fascinating thing is that craving for novelty, that intense pull and the numbness that follows. It's psychological, yes, but it's also deeply physical.
Is it?
Yeah. The shift we're talking about, it's not just a mindset change. It's literally about the brain needing to rewire itself to find its natural balance again.
Okay, let's dig into that. Rewiring. Because I think understanding the why behind it is like the first real step towards making a change. Why does that visual stuff, the high-intensity content, have such a strong grip?
Well, it's like the ultimate shortcut, isn't it? It bypasses all the messy, vulnerable, complex stuff of real human connection.
Right, the talking, the uncertainty.
All of that, and it goes straight for the brain's reward center. Bang! Instant hit. That rapid, unfiltered stimulus. That's the psychological core of why it's so powerful.
And then the problems start. If the brain keeps getting exposed to that, to those super intense visuals, research shows it starts to, change things.
It does. It actually starts to hijack that reward system. That's the term researchers often use.
Hijack.
Yeah, it's like the brain gets trained. It learns to expect this constant fireworks display. It starts needing that level of intensity.
So it begins craving the novelty, the next click, the next image.
Yeah.
Almost more than actual real-life connection.
Exactly that. It prioritizes that immediate, overwhelming sensory hit. The brain's efficient, If it gets a massive dopamine rush from a quick click, it starts to kind of downgrade the value of, say, the subtle pleasure of a real sunset or a quiet touch, which requires patience and, presence.
Okay, so if someone decides, right, I need to step back from this constant external stimulus, what happens then? You mentioned dopamine recalibration. What does that actually feel like?
It often feels disruptive, yeah. When you take away that hyperstimulus, the brain basically registers a huge shortfall.
Like turning the volume way down after it's been blasting.
Perfect analogy, yeah. For a while, everything might feel too quiet, maybe a bit flat, and the brain starts signaling, sometimes desperately, for that intense rush it remembers.
But that's when the urges might feel really strong. Confusing even.
That's exactly it. Intense, confusing, maybe even overwhelming urges can surface during this time.
And this is critical, isn't it? If you feel that intensity, those confusing signals, you have to remember, that is not weakness.
Absolutely crucial distinction. That discomfort, that intensity, that's actually the sound of the brain healing.
Healing, okay.
It's literally rewiring itself back towards balance. It's learning slowly that real connection, slower connection, is the truly sustainable reward. Understanding that those urges are a sign of positive change, not failure, that's incredibly empowering.
That reframes everything. Okay, so if the brain's been kind of hijacked by these external visuals, just saying, stop looking, probably isn't enough, right? We need other tools.
Exactly. We need to shift the focus inwards.
Let's talk about that. Shifting the gaze. What tools can help? Starting with something that sounds maybe almost too simple, your own mind.
Yes, the imagination. It gets dismissed sometimes, doesn't it, as just daydreaming or something. But the research is really clear. It's incredibly powerful.
How so?
Well, studies show that when we engage in sexual fantasy, many of the same brain areas light up as when we look at visual content.
Okay, wait. If it activates the same areas, isn't that just swapping one screen for another, like an internal one? What makes fantasy different? Why is that healthier for the brain?
That's the crucial twist. And it's a really profound difference. While, yes, the general arousal centers are active, fantasy also lights up regions linked directly to creativity, to long-term memory, to personal meaning.
Oh, interesting. So stuff that passive watching doesn't really engage.
Exactly. When you watch something, you're passive. When you fantasize, you are actively creating. You're pulling from your memories. You're weaving in personal significance. You're using your creativity.
So you're connecting with desire on your own terms. You're the director, the editor, everything.
Precisely. Your mind is flexible. It's private. There are no external scripts, no edits someone else made. You're stimulating desire through context, association, meaning. Which is much closer to how real intimacy often builds, isn't it? It's layered, specific, internal.
It turns desire into your own language, not just something you consume. Okay, let's pair that with the second tool then, the sensory shift. Because the screen trains us, mostly, to ask what looks good. It's all visual, edited, often exaggerated performance.
But our bodies register pleasure very differently, don't they?
Right.
Real, resilient arousal lives in all the senses, not just our eyes.
So the goal here is to completely flip the question, from what looks good to what feels good.
That's the essence of it. It's the core of what you might call mindful sexuality, tuning into the body's actual sensations.
So practically, what does that look like? How do you consciously switch off that visual performance pressure and just feel?
It really requires slowing right down, practicing intentional awareness. Research points to tuning into things like temperature changes, different textures, rhythm, pressure, movement.
Simple things.
Simple physical things. Focusing on those leads to stronger, more embodied arousal. And it really helps reduce that pressure to perform, to match some visual ideal. It grounds you in the now.
It's like stop analyzing visually. Start listening physically, listening to your own body, not comparing it to some image.
Exactly.
And if this feels clumsy.
Or just strange at first. Totally normal. That awkwardness. It just means you're retraining. You're teaching your nervous system to find deep pleasure in actual reality again, which is subtle, complex.
Yeah.
Not the instant hit of the digital world.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But that transition from instant visuals to this slower internal stuff, it can feel like a huge leap.
It really can. Which brings us to the idea of a gentler path. For a lot of people, going cold turkey just feels too abrupt, too much of a shock.
Right. So are there stepping stones, ways to bridge that gap?
Yes, absolutely. Some people find using things like sensual fiction or erotic audio can be really helpful initially.
Okay, how does that work differently? You still get stimulation, right?
You do, but you're changing the medium, the delivery system. Audio and text lack those instant visuals.
They force you to use
your imagination. Exactly. They rely on language, on emotional context. Listening or reading activates brain parts tied to language processing, emotion, interpretation.
Making it slower, more internal.
Yes, and often more emotionally connected because you're filling in the gaps. It's a way to keep the desire alive while you swap the fuel source, so to speak. And often, over time, people find they naturally lean less on those tools and more into their own internal fantasies.
That makes a lot of sense as a transition. Okay, let's bring this into relationships. If you're partnered, this whole shift seems like a massive opportunity, doesn't it, to rebuild intimacy differently?
Oh, absolutely. It's a really powerful time to shift the focus away from just stimulation towards genuine connection.
And how does that happen? What does the research say builds that connection?
Consistently, it comes back to trust and emotional safety. Not performance, it's about having honest conversations.
Conversations about what, specifically?
Maybe less about media habits directly and more about expectations, emotional needs. How do you both want to feel together? What does connection look like for you? Those conversations build trust and deepen the bond way more than any shared screen time could.
It's that difference between being like stimulated next to each other versus being truly present with each other.
Precisely. Instead of watching something, you're exploring each other through touch, talk, maybe shared fantasy, learning what feels safe, playful, real in the moment.
And does this apply if you're single? Does making these shifts still matter?
Absolutely. Every single time you consciously choose presence over pixels, even when you're alone, you're doing that retraining work. You're teaching your brain, your whole nervous system, to respond to the nuance, the subtlety of real human interaction. It quietly builds this internal confidence, this readiness for real connection when it comes along. It makes you more attuned to actual people.
Okay, let's get really practical now. Because changing habits, especially ones tied to something as core as desire, it's not linear. It's messy.
So messy. And that's okay.
We need to talk about self-compassion.
Yeah.
Right? Because slips are going to happen.
Definitely. Habits this ingrained don't just vanish overnight. There will be strong days, and there will absolutely be days where you find yourself slipping back, scrolling, clicking, whatever the old pattern was.
And the key thing here, based on research into behavioral change and addiction, slipping is not the same as failing.
Critically important difference. Slipping is predictable. It's a totally normal part of the rewiring process. Change sticks best when it's wrapped in self-compassion, not shame.
Because shame just shuts you down, right?
Yeah.
It tells you you're bad.
Exactly. Shame is corrosive. It attacks your sense of self. Compassion, on the other hand, is resilient. It acknowledges the difficulty, recognizes the effort, and allows you to learn and try again.
So when a slip happens,
Yeah.
what's the compassionate response?
Don't spiral into self-punishment. Just pause. Use it as a reset button. Remember the original goal presence, connection, not numbness. Maybe learn one small thing from that moment. Why did it happen then? And then just begin again, right in the next minute.
Every time you consciously choose to return to yourself after a slip, you're actually strengthening that muscle.
You really are. You're building something deeper and more resilient than if you'd never slipped at all. You're proving you can come back.
That reframing changes everything. But what about real-world barriers? Like, what if you genuinely lack privacy? Shared room, living with family, finding space for quiet introspection can be really hard.
That's a very real challenge for many people. That doesn't mean the journey isn't possible. It just means the reconnection might need to happen in smaller, quieter, maybe more internal ways.
Like micro moments.
Exactly. Tiny, deliberate acts of presence. It could be as simple as a mindful shower, just focusing only on the feeling of the water on your skin.
Wow.
Or taking 3 really deep, intentional breaths. Or a moment of gentle self-touch, specifically aimed at grounding yourself, feeling your own skin, not necessarily for arousal, or even just journaling for 2 minutes about what makes you feel safe or seen or wanted.
It's little things. They actually matter. They're not just less than.
They matter tremendously. They're the foundation. They are entirely internal, completely unedited, and they belong only to you. They rebuild that connection from the inside out, quietly.
So this whole journey,
Yeah.
from chasing that external rush to cultivating this internal presence, it's not really about rules, is it? Or finding some quick fix.
Not at all. It's much more profound than that. It's a psychological reclamation, really. It's about taking back ownership of something fundamental that was always yours.
Your body.
Your body, your breath, your authentic capacity for real, unedited connection with yourself and eventually with others.
So when you choose to step back from the pixels, you're not really giving something up. It feels more like you're giving something back to yourself.
Beautifully put, yes. You're investing in something far more vital, more sustainable in the long run.
So maybe the final thought is this. If choosing presence over pixels really does build confidence, if it teaches your brain to respond differently, to respond to real people, what's the first shift you'll notice? What's the feeling that starts to fill that silence after the screen goes dark? And what's the first real, maybe messy, but beautiful connection that finally feels truly different?
That's the exploration, isn't it? That's the question to start sitting with today.